सर्वरूपधरं शान्तं सर्वनामधरं शिवं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं अद्वैतं सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरम्. Loving pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagawan. Dear brothers and sisters, elders, Sai Ram. In the previous episode, when we spoke about the glory and beauty of the Bharatiya culture, the Indian culture, we spoke about how Bhagawan defines the Bharatiya. A Bharatiya is somebody who believes that the Atman or God is omnipresent, is present everywhere. Now the question is, how does this become practically applicable in our day-to-day living contexts? The passage which you just heard is a passage which Bhagavan would often recite before his discourses. Sarvarupadharam Shantam, the one who takes all forms. Sarvanamadharam Shivam, the one who takes all names. Sachidanandarupam Advaitam Satyam Shivam Sundaram, the one whose existence, awareness, bliss, Sat, Chit, Ananda, which is nothing but Brahman, which is nothing but the Atman, which is nothing but God as defined in Vedanta. The one whose truth, goodness and beauty. The Lord whose truth, goodness and beauty, the Lord whose existence, awareness and bliss, that is the Lord who appears as all names, who appears as all forms. Now interestingly, Bhagavan doesn't say Sarva Divya Rupadaram Shantam, Sarva Divya Namadaram Shivam. He doesn't say the one who takes on all divine names and all divine forms. Generally when we hear this passage, we may tend to imagine that Bhagavan is referring to all divine names, which is the name of Rama, Krishna, Sai, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, Mahavir, etc. But Bhagavan doesn't say that. Similarly, he doesn't say Sarva Divya Rupadaram Shantam. He doesn't say the one who takes on all divine forms. He says the one who takes on all names and forms, the one to whom all names and forms belong. So it is the Lord who appears as all names, as all forms. And this is foundational to the Bharatiya culture. Sarva Rupadharam Shantam, Sarva Namadaram Shivam, and which is what Bhagavan speaks about in the Bharatiya Paramartha Vahini or the Satyasai Vahini, where he says that the Bharatiya culture's foundational belief is that the Atman or God is omnipresent. And what does omnipresent mean? Present in every single being. Bhagavan goes on to add Sarva Deva Namaskaram Keshavam Pratikachati. That's what the scriptures normally say. You worship any Lord or any form of God, it goes to that one supreme form or one supreme Lord who's actually one, the one who appears in many names and forms. But Bhagavan also interestingly adds Sarva Jiva Namaskaram Keshavam Pratikachati. You bow down to any form, any name, which could be a human form, it could be an animal, it could be a bird, it could be a plant, it could be a tree, it could be an object which we considered inanimate. Even that reaches the Lord. He also says, Sarva Jiva Tiraskaram Keshavam Pratigachati. You harm, hurt, speak disparagingly, insultingly about anything. It could be it could be living object or a non-living object in our view, but even that reaches the Lord. And this, as per my limited understanding, is the practical application of the concept that the Lord is everywhere. Because once you start believing that the Lord or the Atman is everywhere, is all pervading, it is the Lord who appears in all names and forms, the way you experience the world is going to be very different. Interestingly, the way the world experiences you also will be very different. The way you treat others will be very, very different. This is not just an imaginary concept. In fact, in his book, The Loving God by Professor Kasturi is Bhagawan's biographer. There is a chapter called His Story, the History. And in this chapter, Professor Kasturi talks about a small cat which he saw in the house of a devotee in Guwahati. In fact, this devotee happens to be the chief nurse of the government hospital in Guwahati. In fact, the name of this cat is Minky. Now, he talks about Minky's experience. Now, Minky is the pet of a lady, and one day this lady who is taking care of Minky is very upset with Minky for some reason, and she starts mercilessly beating this poor thing, this cat. And the cat starts crying out in pain. And suddenly what happens is there are 16 photographs of Bhagawan in the room where this poor cat is getting beaten. And all of them as though in protest. Each photograph of Bhagawan in the room comes crashing down and the glass shatters. And shocked by this, the sister of the girl who was beating up the cat comes rushing and says, "Please don't do this. I don't think Swami is pleased with this. So please stop this right away." There's an interesting sequel to this story. When this family subsequently visited Bhagawan in Prashanti Nilayam, Bhagawan gives them vibhuti and then also gives them an extra dose of vibhuti and says, these extra packets are for the cat. Now, the pain of the cat was experienced and seen by Bhagawan. It is not, it's a being which can't even speak human language. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says that the Lord listens to everything. He listens to even the footfall of an ant. He can even listen to an ant walking. Now, what's the spiritual truth behind this? When you say that the Lord listens to everything, it's because it is the Lord who experiences everything, because it is the Lord, Sarva Rupa Dharam Shantam, Sarva Namadharam Shivam. It is the Lord who appears in the form of all names and all forms. And this is the hint which Bhagawan gives us when he says in the Sathya Sai Vahini that the Lord is present everywhere, the Atman is present everywhere, and he says that the Bharatiya culture, the foundation of Bharatiya culture is the belief that the Atman is present everywhere in every being. And now just imagine if this were to become a permanent part of our life. Just imagine if this were to become a constant integrated awareness, as Bhagawan says. Imagine if we have this awareness in every single moment of our life as we operate in the world. Yes, there will be trying situations where you may have to deal with difficult people, difficult situations. But imagine you operate with this awareness. I think the way we experience the world and the way the world experiences us, the way we respond to these many situations which life can throw at us will be very, very different. But then the question in your mind would be, no, but what happens when I face really difficult people, difficult situations? How do you deal with that? Bhagawan, of course, is very practical when it comes to his teachings. He gives an answer to that. Bhagawan willing, and by Bhagawan's grace, we look at the answer to that question in the next episode of this series. Jai Sai Ram.